Fostering connection through vulnerability, the People Pleaser podcast validates struggles, celebrates growth, and inspires positive change. Together, let's embrace authenticity, challenge patterns, and evolve with compassion. What is up, everybody? It's Corie, your host with the People Pleaser podcast. Thank you for being here for another episode, and I'm going to just come right out and tell you that this episode is based on more of a feeling than any type of real planning, but it's really just going to be a little bit of a recap of some of my experiences of being the new kid on the block. And I just want to illuminate some of my experiences of just feeling like a fish out of water in so many new areas of life. So in case you missed it, I am 3 weeks into living in the United States. I just moved to Port Townsend, Washington from Victoria, BC, and I am just in the thick of, I guess, acclimatizing to a new city, a new home, a new country. I just started my master's, a new job. Like, the amount of new is pretty overwhelming. And as somebody who really does lean into routine and habits and comfort zones, I'm being tested. I am being tested on all fronts, and it's not a bad thing at all. These are all choices. These are all discretionary, but with that said, just because we choose things doesn't make them easy. So let's just dig in. So I am in my 3rd week of living in a new town. So the biggest contrast is obviously the fact that I am now in a U.S. town. Well, I guess it's technically a city. And although I've visited here many, many times, I'm quite acquainted with America and all of its qualities. It's interesting to really sit with the fact that the most uncomfortable things are the small things, almost the nuanced things. I think as Canadians, because we are so accustomed to taking in US media, so many of our products and media streams and exposure is richly American. I guess I kind of went into this thinking I know America. I know the United States. I've been completely enraptured by its culture for my whole life, just living so close and, listening to the radio stations and the TV channels and all these things. I think that's a very familiar experience for Canadians. But what you don't really get from that scale of exposure is the little nuanced things. And I don't even know if I can really put into words what those might be. I know that I certainly encountered a bit of nuance when I was driving, and this is so embarrassing to even say, but Brian, my husband, and I, we were driving. We'd kind of driven out of town. We had to get onto a freeway to where we were going, and on the way back, he asked if I wanted to drive, and that in itself seemed like an easy decision, easy option. But he had to pull off the freeway for us to switch around. And so I had to kind of go on this roundabout way to get back onto the freeway. And I don't know if maybe this is just me being an idiot or if this truly was something that we don't have, at least in Victoria. But in order to merge back onto the freeway, I had to kind of take an exit ramp. And in my experience, exit ramps are like a one-way lane. Like you don't have to worry about oncoming traffic. So I was a little bit trepidatious in like merging into this off ramp. I was looking at Google Maps. It's all in freaking miles and feet. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? And next thing you know, there's freaking oncoming traffic coming directly at us. And I'm not going to explain to you the whole geographic layout of this off ramp, but I wasn't even considering the fact that there could be oncoming traffic, so I wasn't looking out for oncoming traffic. And I just felt so stupid. Like Brian literally yelled, "There's oncoming traffic." And I have thought about that a lot since. I think Brian's completely forgotten about it, but I'm like, oh my God, like what about that situation? Like I'm a very competent driver. I've had my license. I've had no accidents. Like I'm pretty confident in my skills of driving. And this just threw me through a loop of like, all of a sudden I am driving into oncoming traffic and my husband is screaming at me to fucking figure myself out. We were fine. Everybody was fine. Nothing happened. But I was rattled. I was rattled for the remainder of that trip. And I have not driven on a freeway since. But yeah, there's just like these little things. I also have found like the grocery stores here are very overwhelming. Like there's a Safeway here that I swear is like double the size of any grocery store I've ever been into. And all of the products, it's like, okay, yes, I'm familiar with a lot of these products, but then there's all these other ones that I'm like, is this good? Like, I don't know. I don't know the store brands. I don't know a lot of the American brands that we just didn't have in Canada. And I'm also like missing some Canadian brands, which I'm just like, oh, you don't have that. I didn't even really know that I was so loyal to like certain brands and then they're not there anymore. And it's like, oh, okay. We will adapt. We will get through this. So it's really nothing bad, but just like so much new all at once. A new development since my last episode is that I had 2 practice shifts at a restaurant and it was really cool. Like I was dropping off resumes one day and I just went to a restaurant that I knew I liked eating at. And I'd only eaten there once, but my husband raves about it. He loves it. It's one of his, more regular spots. And I pop in and just so happened that the manager was available. She didn't take my resume. We just kind of had a chit chat and she liked my vibe. I disclosed that I'm a permanent resident and she's like, oh, I've never really dealt with that before, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. And I mean, I have a social security number. That's another new thing. But yeah, like I realized that sitting down with her, to her, me working at the same restaurant in Victoria, BC, like, sure, that's like cool. That's great. You have that experience. But the fact that I worked at like Pagliacci's restaurants or Pagliacci's restaurant for 12 years, like in Victoria, that means something. Like that is like, oh, I know where to place you. I know the vibe. I can kind of deduce what that means, what that experience entails. Here, I asked her like, oh, do you know Pags in Victoria? Like, are you familiar? Because even, non-locals are familiar with the restaurant. Nope, not a clue. And that was just a moment of like, huh, okay, like there are certain aspects of my experience, of my repertoire that are very situational. They're very like geographically placed. They're very regional. Like, oh, that puts you there, but that doesn't mean anything here. So that was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. Like, oh, I'm glad you see me as competent and you see something else in me that kind of sparks your interest. But the name of the restaurant really serves me no purpose here in Port Townsend. I was further humbled when I went into my practice shifts and, like not to flex the career server muscle, but I worked as a server for like 12 years. I put in the time. I felt like that meant something to me at a certain point in my life. And she had me come in for 2 busing shifts, which I have no ego, but it was also like, okay, yep, we're starting from the bottom. Cool. But like, let me just take a minute to let that roll over me. And, I really was grateful at the end of the day to be thrown in like a busing position and to just get the lay of the land. And I think that really does serve a purpose to just come in with no ego. I didn't know shit about shit when it comes to that restaurant, that menu, their vibe, their kind of flow, their customers. Like I didn't know anything. So I could come in and just focus on busing, learn the lay of the land. And I'm really grateful for that experience. Now, I started on a very busy weekend, like Labor Day weekend. So I worked Saturday and Sunday, and it was utter chaos. And I'm used to chaos. That is not something that deters me or sways me, but I guess it was a really great opportunity for the manager to watch me work. And she's like, okay, we're going to get you in for some serving training shifts. Like, you're solid. So this was an experience of like just showing people my experience rather than them reading it off my resume. And so, I mean, essentially I got the same result as I would have maybe had someone known, oh, you worked at Pegs for 12 years, as I did to just like work and show her my work ethic and my skill level. The other kind of like reality check I'm facing is that I am going back to serving. And I know I haven't like addressed this directly, but I've not served since 2020 when like everything shut down for the pandemic. I had always had a serving job alongside my like quote unquote career. So I was always working in like mental health or like doing youth work and supplementing my income with a serving job. And when all the restaurants shut down, it just kind of seemed like a good time to exit. And then just kind of as it so happened after the pandemic and as things kind of opened up again, I had started my own job as my own little side gig as a house manager, like working for a family. And also my career kept moving forward and my wage kept increasing, and I didn't really feel like I needed to go back to serving. So now I'm in this space where not only did they not know like the restaurant I worked at, but also like so much of my experience in youth mental health is still like, I'm still not really sure where to go with it. And I'm not really sure that there is the equivalent to what I was doing here in Port Townsend. And so the idea of me going back to serving is really intentional in that I want to create community. I want to meet people. I want to be around people. I want to be in social environments. It will also really complement my going back to school and being a student. So just the flexibility of serving and the hours just kind of work well with the student life. But I think I'm feeling a little bit nervous to like really dive into the mental health field again. I think there is a need for a bit of a break. I think that I would really benefit and my practice would really benefit from me just taking a wee breather. There's also some fear around potential employers not knowing me. I don't have a name in this community. I don't have experience in this community. And the fact that my resume may virtually mean nothing to them. They may not know any of the organizations I've worked for. As far as I understand it, the US doesn't have a child and youth care degree. So that, just the language of that degree is unfamiliar. And I know there's going to be equivalents and, I can make a case for a lot of this, but I'm noticing that my bandwidth is just a little depleted at the moment. And I'm just not quite ready to embark on the whole experience of like really vouching for myself, really building a case around like, yes, I am a good candidate for this position. And yes, this experience is relevant. And I just anticipate there being a little bit more required from me to prove my worth. And right now, I am like, I feel like I'm kind of doing that in a few different areas. And I think it's okay for me to delay the professional pursuits right now. And so I think there's a few things that are kind of causing me to slow that down. And I'm just listening to my gut at this point. The other like big new thing is that I'm a student again and that I'm starting my master's in counseling psychology. I graduated with my undergrad in 2014. So it has been exactly 10 years since I've been in school, which honestly, like I wasn't ready until now. I'd thought about pursuing a master's many different times, and there was always just this sort of need to hold back, like need to just not quite pull the trigger. And I finally did, and I finally felt ready, and I finally felt excited about it. And that took 10 years. The reality is that it took 10 years, and I'm back in an academic setting. Today was my first day, and I am going to be completely honest. It was really overwhelming. Like a lot has changed in the like academic space in 10 years. I'm also doing this master's program completely online, which is way out of my comfort zone. And just like getting back in the swing of things, like getting that side of my brain or like my brain kind of operating in that space it's feeling a little clunky. And I mean, I'm not going to be too hard on myself. It's literally day one, but again, I'm like in that space. A lot of my classmates are like coming right out of their undergrad and like directly into their master's program. And so there's, I think, a wide range of ages. And I'm just feeling a little old. I'm feeling a little tired. I'm feeling a little jaded, which is, I think, the result of burnout. And that's all why, like, those are the reasons why I am returning to school, is that I'm at a place where I'm like craving new skills, new perspectives. I want to be like reinvigorated with new knowledge. And I think that I carried the skill set of my undergrad really far, and I think that it served me really well. And I've secured some really great professional opportunities, and now I'm ready for more. I'm ready to just like take it to the next level. And I think like that's my brain on one level saying like, yes, I'm ready. And then there's like the other part of my brain that's been in hibernation that's like, actually, I don't know if I'm ready, and I'm freaking out a little bit. So I've noticed that with all this new, I have, I think, been managing it all in stride. Definitely not like perfecting anything quite yet, but taking it in stride and giving myself grace. And fortunately, like I've just haven't been asked to move very quickly in any area of my life, so I can pace myself. But it has felt really draining, and I'm noticing that this is like a new experience of just diving in headfirst to a few different areas in life where I was virtually coasting for, a long period of time. I was comfortable. I was just kind of in a rhythm. And now I am shaking things up. I'm shaking everything up from from tip to tip. I don't know if that's a saying. My husband loves it when I attempt sayings and fail them miserably. But yeah, just like every aspect. Like I have a new bank account. I have a new social security number. I have a new Washington driver's license. I have a new house. I'm living with my husband. I have a dog that I walk every day. I'm in school. I'm looking for a new job. And so with all this new has come this like I'm a little overwhelmed, and it's been some guilt or I guess guilt, or we're going to go with guilt, has come up in that I have so many amazing people in my life who are like cheering me on and asking for updates and trying to stay really engaged with me and stay connected with me and just want to express their support through connecting with me. And I feel so grateful for that. But I've also felt kind of exhausted of like talking about myself. Here I am recording a podcast all about myself. But I wonder if that's a familiar feeling or, something that you can relate to. And just like, it can be a little bit exhausting to talk about yourself and re-explain yourself. And I was talking to a girlfriend on the phone today, and we were talking about birthdays. And I was telling her that, in the midst of my move and all this new, I also had a birthday. And I almost at that point was like, oh my God, please just don't worry about my birthday. Like, don't wish me a happy birthday, because I've almost felt like when I receive so much like attention and love and support and people are inquiring with me, I then have to like return the favor. Like I have to reciprocate. And this might sound harsh or like kind of messed up that I'm saying it in that way, but it comes from a place of like, when I want to like respond or build connection, I want it to come from a really well-intentioned place. I want it to come from a grounded place. I want to have time. And I find that when I'm feeling this way, like a little bit frazzled, a little bit overwhelmed, just tired in general, I'm not really operating from a place where I can like put in the appropriate amount of time and energy into like a proper response. And it comes from that place of like wanting to respond genuinely and lovingly. And if I can't do that, then I feel like it's almost like a fracture to the connection. Like they're coming to me with all this love and support, and then I'm like forcing a reply because I've like set up these imaginary timelines or these imaginary expectations that probably the person on the receiving end completely understands if I'm busy or overwhelmed, or that I will get back to them when the time is right. So there's a bit of that going on. There's a bit of just like a lot of attention is on me right now. I'm kind of in the spotlight of change, and it just comes with the full spectrum of the experience. I also admitted to my friend on the phone today that like I have my new phone number. I have a Washington phone number, and I initially was like sending it to, my contacts, my people, like, hey, this is my new number. But then as a result of that, everyone was like, oh my God, like, how's it been going? How are you? Like, give me the update. And I very quickly became overwhelmed because I'm like, my bandwidth is just limited at this time. And so I've started to space out, like, which is kind of a weird power move, which is kind of uncomfortable to admit, but like I'm sort of slowing down giving out my new number because I want to give it out and I will give it out, but it's also just like giving it out. It's not a panic. I don't need to like make sure that everybody has my number right away. Like I have a million methods that people can connect to me with, and they do. But because of this like new number and this sort of initiating of conversations, I've just found myself to be a little bit overwhelmed. And I'm going to give myself grace, and I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt, and just really chalk it up to there's a lot going on. And with that, it's okay to like operate at a slightly slower pace, and that I can adjust the expectations I'm putting on myself, and I can hope that people can adjust their expectations of me. And none of this is coming from a place of like not caring or thinking that, I don't know, like this is all coming from actually a deep level of care where I want to engage with people in a way that feels authentic and realistic. Like I need to be realistic with what I can offer, and it's okay to have boundaries even within friendships and within family relationships. And it's just been a new experience for me, a lot of new experiences. I want to say that this is all good, and I do believe that I'm so blessed, I'm so privileged to get to experience life in this way, with this richness. But that doesn't necessarily mean that good is always easy. And I think I already said that. But there has been challenges to this experience of great things. And I'm just trying to lay it all out in the realest of ways. And I hope you don't all think that you know what, you can think whatever you want. We're just not even going to end that sentence because I'm not going to stress about it. I always try to have the most honest and authentic conversations on this platform, and that will never change. The minute it does is the time to close up shop, because we're here just dealing in authenticity and in the real talk. So I know that I haven't been as present on Instagram as I just explained. Life is a little bit on its head right now, but I do hope to return to that platform once I've just kind of rolled out some wrinkles in what my typical life even looks like. As of right now, I don't have a typical schedule. I am yet to fully accept this serving position. I have opportunities to possibly work some more casual work through another place that I will share more when the time is right. But yeah, things are brewing, and that feels really cool. It feels cool to just be here with my husband and supporting him to the best I can with his business, and getting out for lots of dog walks with River and exploring my new city. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being along for the bumpy ride that is my life and this podcast, and just the general human existence. It has some bumps, and that's why we're here. So I will talk to you very soon, and please take care of yourself. Bye. Once again, this is Corie with the People Pleaser Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And if you liked what you heard, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and a review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find daily content from me on both Instagram and TikTok. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you on the next episode.